Welcome everyone to Hong Kong, where we have Arjun Erigaisi taking on Hans Niemann. This is going to be a very interesting game as Arjun, representing MGD1, takes on Endgame AI's Hans Niemann on top board. It's 15 minutes plus 10 seconds increment, and games between Arjun and Hans are always super exciting. The players are ready, handshake, and off we go. Arjun opens with pawn to e4, and Hans Niemann is waiting for his team members to arrive. Maybe all of them are not yet at the board. He's a bit worried as the team captain. Now, all of them are here. Let's see what Hans plays. He plays e5 and adjusts all his pieces. The board is a little bit shaky there. And presses the clock. Knight to f3 and knight c6. We have the Italian with bishop c4 and knight f6 played here. d3 protecting the pawn, the slow Italian, and we have bishop c5. c3 played by Arjun, and Hans plays d6. Castles. Well, Hans plays the Italian from both colors, so he has a lot of experience here. Rook e1, and he pushes his pawn to a5, gaining space on the queen side, stopping ideas with pawn to b4. Arjun goes h3, and Hans, well, he brings his bishop back to a7. Hans is tempting Arjun to go for the bishop g5 lines, but Arjun plays knight d2, knight jumps to e7, coming to g6. We have pawn to d4 now, striking in the center, and knight c6 back, not knight g6. He goes back knight c6, now puts pressure on the d4 pawn. Pawn takes pawn, and the best move is to take with the knight, not the pawn, because this knight would have constantly attacked the pawn while this would have defended. So getting rid of these knights is in black's favor. And now we have a very symmetrical structure. Arjun plays a4, and maybe Arjun can claim a very small edge here because he already has his pawn on c3, but actually it's quite even. Queen e2 played, and now Hans goes queen to e7. It's difficult for Arjun to create something here. Knight to f3, keeping pressure on the e5 pawn. And the rook comes to e8. b3. Now with the idea of bringing the bishop to the a3 square, bishop d7 played. If you play bishop a3, idea is to play bishop to c5, and he does play it. Hans Niemann has 12 minutes 46 seconds. He plays bishop c5, allowing Arjun to play a small tactic, which is bishop f7. If king takes, there is queen c4 check, and you lose here, so lose the bishop. So queen takes f7. Arjun now takes on c5, and b6 played, defending the b pawn and getting ready to take now on the b3 square. He didn't do it on the previous move because here the b7 pawn could potentially become weak. So bishop e3, and now bishop c6 first before taking the pawn, attacking e4. Knight jumps back to d2. We have knight takes e4, knight takes e4, and bishop e4. Now, if you play bishop b6 with the idea of taking on e4, there's bishop takes g2. So Arjun plays pawn to b4. The position is very even because of the opposite colored bishops. We have pawn to b5 gaining more space, and Arjun will try to go c5, c4, c5 here. Hans Niemann brings his bishop to d5. He stops pawn to c4, rook c1 with the idea of c4, but now you can just go bishop to c4. Queen comes up to g4, threatening bishop takes h6, and a queen trade is offered. I think the players can agree to a draw here. That's how even this is. Rook e6. But Arjun goes f4 and he sees that there is a weakness on the c7 square. So if you take, bishop takes, he can attack this pawn. Bishop b3 played by Hans. And Hans is going after the a4 pawn. c4. Arjun gives up the pawn. Bishop takes. And now Hans is a pawn up. You can see Hans looking at the adjoining board. Now if you take on e5, then bishop f4 and some pressure here. He does take on e5. And bishop f4 played. Hans Niemann can now simply take on e1. Rook takes e1. And you are losing this pawn. But maybe bishop b3 to go after the c4 pawn can be an idea. He plays rook c8, an ambitious move, defending the pawn. And now, can Arjun go to the 7th rank? He goes in, he attacks this pawn, and c6, a huge mistake by Hans Niemann. He should have played bishop b3, but now c6 allows this incredible move c5. I think Hans has simply missed it. And Arjun, he's looking at the board. This move is such a killer move. Look at this, c5, he plays it. If b takes c5, b6, if c takes b5, c takes b6, and this pawn just cannot be stopped. It's insane how the b pawn is queening regardless. And Hans Niemann, well, he just doesn't have a move. He goes bishop b5 with just 1 second on the clock, takes bishop a6. Now Arjun can go after the bishop. And then the b pawn just queens. Rook a7 played and resignation. What a turn of events that was. From an equal position here, bishop b3 or even king f8, he plays the move c6 and incredible breakthrough which you rarely see, c5. And now do what you may, the b pawn in some way or the other will queen. I hope you liked this game. Kudos to Arjun for that victory, and Hans Niemann, well, he would be kicking himself for that blunder.
Freedom begins with a choice. In 2008, we made ours. Freedom knows no borders. Step by step, we became part of the global financial system. In 2019, we went public on NASDAQ. In 2024, we built a digital ecosystem. Fintech, lifestyle, telecom, everything comes together in one unified digital space. Today, freedom is a system that shapes markets. $2 billion in annual revenue, $9.3 billion market capitalization, 11 million customers, 11,300 plus employees, 230 offices worldwide. Freedom begins with a choice, and every day we make it again. Freedom Holding Corp. One ecosystem, many possibilities.